Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is April the 13th, 2021, and today the topic is Selfless Love 101. Selfless Love 101. Or 101. Well, y'all, I did my full routine. Thank and praise God for that. To be honest, I wasn't necessarily feeling it. I don't think I'm tired or anything. I just think, I don't know what it is. For whatever reason, I wasn't pumped to do the workout portion of my routine. But I went ahead and did it and everything like that. And then, of course, did my prayer and meditation. And, obviously looked up these verses in X, Y, and Z. The prayer and meditation was good. Obviously, I want to share the topic and stuff like that. But I would just say in the midst of it, the word selfless lingered in my mind, and so that's what I looked up. I looked up verses centered around that word selfless, and here we are. So even in the midst of whatever this feeling is, because again, I don't think I'm super duper tired or anything. I don't know. I guess the whole selfless conversation and everything has me kind of reflecting, and part of my reflection is wondering, okay, well, Miracle, is this, this sacrifice of time, although it has been for you, perhaps this has been a selfish moment for me to, again, get up, work out, pray, spend time with God, read the Bible, all these things. But then obviously, perhaps it's selfless in a way to share, do all these things to be able to share with others. I guess I would hope that at the end of the day, my sacrifice, quote unquote, would be of some benefit to someone, But I guess the reflection today makes me, generally wonder, okay, well, how selfless are you? Miracle in particular, I'm asking myself that. So I hope that in turn is hoping you ask yourself that, whoever you are listening to the sound of my voice this morning. But yeah, something to think about as we, listen to these verses today. So here we go. Philippians 2 and I think that was 3. Philippians 2 and 3. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. As I was writing this verse down this morning, I kind of was reminded of, the conversation yesterday. We ended up talking about abortion a bit. And, I shared with you guys one of the things that I saw someone say, and it just was basically oh, well, why bring life into the world if it's, if they got to go into foster care or whatever the case is. And I know I was saying yesterday, I think some of us don't tend to value life, well, obviously they don't value the life of the unborn child, or if you again want to think about the abortion conversation, but ultimately, sometimes we don't value our own lives as well. We don't see the purpose, we don't see the value, right? And yeah, I mentioned that yesterday, that that's a sad case and everything like that. And so I don't know But yeah, as I was writing the verse that I just shared with you all, I was kind of thinking about that. And yeah, I mean, I guess, again, this makes me wonder, like, why, how would life be if we lived the way the Bible said, and if we truly valued others more than we valued ourselves, and everything like that. I mean, obviously, then that question of whether life should be valued wouldn't be the question, right? But again, just something to think about. But yeah, I guess I could see how that's, a humbling thing to, kind of lay yourself to the side to, be there for others, even though, again, you hear the complete opposite in the world. You know what I mean? You hear, and I mean, perhaps I've been promoting that myself. I have a group that's kind of centered around self-care, and I do kind of believe that, you can't pour from an empty basket, for example. So, you have to take time to rest, or you have to take time to, make sure you're taking care of yourself in the midst of everything. And then I'm also reminded of, like, anybody that rides a plane, they hear the stewardess and all the, the announcements before you ride that, if something happens and the gas mask falls, put the gas mask on yourself, then put the gas mask on your child or whoever's with you or something like that, or help someone else. And I mean, I guess I could understand the logic behind that. It's like, okay, well, if you're helping someone else get their mask on, then, there's a chance that you won't get what you need if you don't have your mask on. Or, I mean, speaking of masks, obviously I'm reminded of, our current situation, and everyone's like, oh, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not, caring about someone else. It's a whole thing. But anywho, so yeah, I guess hearing this verse today and then just reflecting on, like, how we operate as humans, and, the things that we hear, and the logic behind the selfish acts. I don't know. It just has me contemplating this morning. I don't know. It's just one of those things. But let's keep going. Galatians 6:2-3. It says, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Ooh. That may be some pulp today, right? Maybe some of us will be surprised to know that that's Bible. I mean, no, obviously, I don't think this is telling us that we are nothing, or that we are meaningless or something like that. I'm sure this is probably saying, like, the situation of, like, okay, if you're putting yourself above someone else, as if you should be valued more than that person. Perhaps I think this verse is kind of reflecting on that type of situation. I mean, obviously, one of the first things that comes to my mind is this whole idea of supremacy of any race, not just the race that we always hear about. So I ain't even got to say it. But the supremacy of any race above another race. Perhaps it's talking about that. But again, that might be deep this morning. That might be pulp this morning, something you don't like. But it's in the Word, so it's something that we should reflect on. It's telling us in this verse to bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Which isn't a negative thing when you really, really think about it. Like, I know that last part, kind of may put a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, oh, if you think, basically you're thinking highly of yourself when you shouldn't, then you're deceiving yourself. And then if somebody who wants to think highly of themselves or wants to think of themselves as supreme over someone else or whatever the case is, then, obviously you can get a bad taste in your mouth about hearing that. But, I mean, again, what if we lived this way, right? What if we were bearing each other burdens and fulfilling the law of Christ, as it said? That's the beautiful part of the situation, although it may not seem that way, depending on your perspective. But, again, something to think about. A lot of reflecting today. Now, Romans 12:1 says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. That is our spiritual worship, to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. I mean, ultimately, again, everything that we do should be for the glory and honor of God. I mean, so, I mean, I guess, as you, approach the day or as you approach different tasks or whatever the case is, it's like, okay, can I do this to the glory and honor of God? And that should ultimately let you know if you should be doing whatever it is, right? Living sacrifices, y'all. I mean, again, like I was saying to you earlier, like I start to ask myself, like, okay, well, Miracle, is this something you're doing, and, perhaps this is one of my examples. Again, I didn't necessarily feel like getting up or doing, well, not say didn't feel like getting up. I didn't feel like doing the workout part. And then, also, I would say that my mood and tune was interesting. But I think I just have a lot on my mind, and also a lot of little things I got to do today. So perhaps my mind was thinking about all of that. But I guess as an example, I still took the time to be like, okay, and let me go ahead and record. Okay, and let me go ahead and go live. Like, in spite of whatever I got going on personally, and so, again, I hope that this will be an encouragement and an inspiration for you, to also let you know that, hey, you can push through. I mean, again, I don't think I'm in such a situation where I'm like, oh, I just couldn't, I'm not in a situation where I didn't necessarily, like, I didn't want to do this, basically. But, I mean, I could see where the sacrifice came in for me to go ahead and push through and do the workout. Like, hopefully, again, that encourages you and inspires you to do whatever it is that you set your mind to do. For example, like, I'm just giving examples right now, but this is literally what I've done this morning in the hopes to, yes, for myself, yes, yes, there is a selfish portion to it, I'm not going to say, but I think that's the thing too, right? Like, the more you do, or the more you follow the word of God, ultimately, that's still selfish if you think about it. Like, that's still something that I think majority of us do that because, of the promises that God gives us. It's like, as you trust Him with every aspect of your life, He's going to take care of you and in every aspect of your life. And so if you're wanting that, if that's something that you desire, then you try your best to continue to do, the things that He's saying in the Word. And so ultimately, everything we do could be kind of selfish, in a way. Like, even the things that we do for others, it depends on your mindset, I guess, as you're doing it. But, y'all, like I said, it's a lot to reflect on today. But hey, no worries, you guys can go deeper. there's 3 verses that I'm going to share with you guys. First, of course, is, the ultimate example of selfless love, of, what God did. Then the second is a command. It's for husbands. So I guess you could think of it from a male perspective of, how husbands should be handling situations or the situation of marriage and dealing with their wives selflessly. And then I also have a female example. It's in Esther, showing what she did selflessly for her people. So, that's the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Psalm 46:10. It says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow with the Lord's will. Bye-bye. If you like what you hear, then consider supporting our podcast. Every listener that supports us for $9.99 a month will be entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win a free gift. So become a supporter today.